If a firming cream is supposed to do more than just moisturize, then why do so many of them stop at feeling nice on the skin and they never actually make the skin look smoother, more supported, or more polished? That's the problem. A lot of products in this category promise this lifted, refined, almost tightened look, but once you put them on, they're really just acting like a basic face cream with a prettier label and expensive price tag. And the consequence is that people start thinking that firming creams don't work, when really a lot of them just aren't built to deliver the kind of performance that the name suggests. In today's video, I'm going to break down what a firming cream is supposed to actually do, what that smooth, elegant, supportive look and feel should be, and then I'm going to show you how I built this champagne facial lift cream to target that kind of true cream performance. A lot of people hear the words firming cream and automatically assume it just means a richer face moisturizer with prettier claims. But that's not what this category is supposed to do. A firming cream should not just soften the skin for a few minutes and call it a day. It should help the skin look smoother, more refined, more supported, and more polished after application. The problem is that a lot of formulas never really build toward that kind of performance. They may moisturize, they may feel silky for a moment, they may even have a long list of actives on the label. But if the structure, finish, slip, and afterfeel are not working together, then the product isn't really delivering the kind of result that people expect from a firming cream. That's where confusion starts, because people think the promise is about one hero ingredient, when really it's about how the whole formula behaves on the skin. If the cream just feels rich, but doesn't leave the skin looking smoother or more supported, then it's not doing the real job within this category. When a cream misses that mark, the disappointment is usually very specific. The skin may feel moisturized, but it doesn't look any different. It may feel comfortable, but not more refined. It may go on nicely, but the finish does not hold up in a way that makes the product feel special. And all that matters, because this is exactly why so many people end up thinking that firming creams are all hype. Not necessarily because the idea is wrong, but because the formula underneath the claim isn't built to create that lifted looking, supportive, polished effect that people were expecting. It ends up acting like a basic moisturizer wearing a more expensive outfit. That's the consequence of chasing claims instead of performance. A formula can have good ingredients on paper and still fall flat in real use. And when that happens, the category starts to lose credibility, even though the real problem is that the cream was never structured to deliver true cream performance in the first place. So for this formula, that was the goal from the beginning. I wasn't trying to make just another face cream that felt nice for a few minutes. I wanted a cream that gave real moisture support, but also had the kind of slip finish and overall skin feel that makes a firming cream feel like it is actually doing something more. That means the formula has to do more than hydrate. It has to spread elegantly. It has to leave the skin feeling cushioned and supported. It has to create a smoother looking finish. And it has to feel substantial without becoming heavy, greasy, or dull. So in this formula, the focus was on building a silicone-rich oil and water cream that could give that polished, silky, supportive result while still keeping the hydration side of the product strong. In the formula walkthrough, I'm going to show you how that structure comes together, why that matters, and what makes a formula like this feel like true cream performance instead of just a basic moisturizer with a firmer sounding name. So now that we've set the expectation for what firming cream is supposed to actually do, the next step is building a formula that can support that kind of performance on purpose, because this is where the difference really shows up. It's not just about adding a few nice actives and hoping that the product feels expensive. It's about how the whole cream is built, the structure, the glide, the hydration, and the way that it settles on the skin after application. So let's get into this formula walkthrough and how I built this champagne facial lift cream to target that smoother, more supported, more polished result. Okay, so now let's actually make this formula. And as I'm adding each ingredient, I want to talk about what it actually is and why it belongs here. Because with a product like this, the ingredient list should make sense from beginning to end. So before I heat up anything, I set aside a small portion of my water because I'm going to need to dissolve the N-acetylglucosamine first. This is going to be added later after cool down. So a portion, I took 15% out of my water portion, distilled water, 15% water. And then I took my N-acetylglucosamine. We're going to go ahead and dump that in and let that start dissolving. All right, we're just going to go ahead and put that off to the side. We'll add that back later. Okay, so the rest of the water is going to be the base of the cream. It gives us the fluid part of the emulsion, and it's what makes true hydration possible in the first place. To that, I'm going to be adding citric acid, and in this formula, I'm using it for a very specific reason. It helps to reduce the marine and algae odor from the Sea Balance 2000, which I will be adding in later, so that the finished cream smells cleaner and more polished. So if you're ever working with that Sea Balance, to me, it's really not an off-putting smell. It's very, very light. But if you are working with Sea Balance 2000, there is a marine and algae aroma to it. And if that's off-putting to you, add some citric acid to your formula and it will kind of mask that over just a little bit. Okay, after the citric acid, we're going to be adding some disodium EDTA. This is a chelating agent and it's here to help support formula stability overall. Whenever you are working with a water-based formula, always add a chelator. Do yourself a favor. All right, next I'm going to be pre-mixing pullulan into glycerin before it goes into the vessel. Pullulan is a film-forming polysaccharide, and in this formula, it's going to help support that smoother, more refined, slightly more tightened-looking finish that makes a firming-style cream feel different from a basic moisturizer. And of course, glycerin is our classic humectant, so it helps to support the moisture side of the formula. I'm going to pre-mix both of these together first because pullulan can clump and glycerin helps to wet it out properly. So we're just going to go ahead and pre-wet the pullulan. We're going to set that aside momentarily. All right, set that aside momentarily. Next into the batch, I'm going to be adding some butylene glycol. This is a humectant and a solvent, and I like it here because it helps support hydration while also keeping the formula feeling elegant and less tacky. Next, I'm going to be adding niacinamide, which is vitamin B3, and this is one of the core actives in this formula. It helps give the cream more real skin support value so that the formula is doing more than just giving slip and moisture. Next is Hydrovance, which is hydroxyethylurea. This is another humectant, and it helps strengthen the hydration side of the formula while still fitting the elegant feel I want from this cream. After that, I'm adding Advanced Moisture Complex. This is a multi-part hydration blend, and I'm using it here to give the formula a more layered moisture profile instead of relying on only one or two humectants. Then I'm going to be adding some caffeine, a stimulant molecule, and in skincare, it's often used as a support active in products that are meant to look a little more refined and a little less flat. And next up is that Sea Balance 2000, and this is a marine-derived supporting ingredient. In this formula, I'm using it to reinforce the skin conditioning and the benchmark inspired direction of the cream rather than as the main structural backbone. And if you're unfamiliar with the term benchmark, I just recently uploaded an in-depth spreadsheet on formulator terminology to my Patreon, so go and check that out. It's a very, very little amount, very small amount. Make sure that gets down into the vessel, and then I'm going to pop this whole thing on top of my hot plate. Once your powders are fully dissolved, go ahead and take your beaker off of your hot plate, and then we're going to hit this with the homogenizer, or you could use your stick blender with it, and that is to thoroughly disperse the Sea Balance. Don't worry if you still see just a couple of little chunks floating around. I do not, but if you do, don't worry about it because we're going to use that homogenizer again once we bring both of our phases together. But the C balance is an emulsifier, and so you will see a slight viscosity increase. I'm using it in such a tiny, tiny little amount. It's really not going to add a whole lot to the viscosity, but it does thicken it up just a little bit. So let's go ahead and put our water portion aside for now, and let's start working on our oil phase. So the first thing to our beaker that we have in here is some dimethicone. I already have it in here. Don't know if you can see it. It's a very tiny little amount, but this is a silicone fluid and it helps give the formula the cushion and that smoother, more substantial feel. So I've got dimethicone already in there. Okay, so next we're going to be adding some petrolatum, an occlusive ingredient, and it helps give the finished cream that more supported, protected, moisturized feel on the skin. Petrolatum is a wonderful product to work with. Do not let anybody scaremonger you into not using it. It's really a great ingredient. Anyways, after that, I'm going to be adding some C1215 alkyl benzoate. This is our lightweight ester emollient, and it helps keep the oil phase feeling more elegant so that the cream doesn't just come across as really heavy. Next, we're going to be using jojoba esters, and these are wax esters derived from jojoba, and I like them here because they help support that refined emollient feel and a benchmark-inspired sensory profile. Again, keep in mind that I am modeling this off of another product, and so I used their benchmark um, as a guideline. Okay, next is Lotion Pro 165, and this is my primary emulsifier, and that means it's one of the key materials responsible for bringing the water phase and the oil phase together into a stable cream. After that, I'm adding cetearyl alcohol, a fatty alcohol, and it helps to build the body and structure into the formula. Then I'm adding cetyl alcohol, also a fatty alcohol, but it gives a slightly different contribution. It helps with the slip, the body, and the overall stabilization. So together, these two help create that medium rich jar cream texture. Then we have some glycol and this is an opacifying and pearlizing agent. And in this formula, it helps give the cream that richer white payoff and more elegant, creamy appearance. Next is vitamin E, and it's here as a supportive antioxidant ingredient in the oil phase. Then pop this on top of your hot plate and melt it all down. Okay, once you see that your oil phase has melted down, we're going to go ahead and add our next ingredient, which is Sepilift DPHP. And this, the inky on this is dipalmitoyl hydroxyproline, which is a firming support ingredient. It fits the whole direction of this product really well because this cream is supposed to feel like more than a basic moisturizer. It's supposed to feel smoother, more refined, and more supportive on the skin. So this does go right into the oil phase. Mix this up. If you need to plop this back on top of your hot plate again, because it does need it to be heated to roughly 185 to completely dissolve. So we'll see how it goes. Let's check my temps. Right, it's below, it's at 172. So I might have to pop this back on top of the hot plate. I did not turn it off yet, which is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I will plop my water phase back on there just for a few seconds so that both of my temperatures are closer together. All right, let's go ahead and add back in our glycerin and our polulan that we had set aside earlier. Give that a good stir. We're going to hit this with the homogenizer anyways, but just give that a good stir. You should see and feel it thickening up a little bit more because of that polulan. All right, once that is completely mixed in, we're just going to go ahead and combine these two phases, and then we'll hit it with the homogenizer. All right, we're going to give that a little bit of a stir. And like I said, we're going to get in there with our homogenizer for roughly 60 seconds. All right, so I just used the homogenizer just briefly until the emulsion started forming. And after that, you want to switch to your sweep mixing to start the cool down process. If you don't have an overhead stir, don't worry about it. You can use your stick blender just on the lowest speed that it is. This is just part of the cool down process. As this batch cools, I'm keeping an eye on the emulsion. I'm going to scrape down the vessel walls as needed. All right, check your temps as things are cooling down. I do it in many different spots. So we're about 102 right now. So we can go ahead and start adding our cool down ingredients. And the first one we're going to be adding is cyclopentasiloxane. This is a volatile silicone, and this is one of the ingredients that helps give the cream that lighter silicone glide and more elegant spread on the skin. Turn this up just a little bit. Then we have Lotion Crafter EL51, and this is a silicone elastomer gel, and it helps push the formula further in that silky, polished direction. Give that a little bit to incorporate in thoroughly. As you can see, this is a beautiful, beautiful cream already. I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. Beautiful cream already. Gorgeous, silky. Really, really lovely. We're not done yet. Keep going. Okay, now I'm going to be taking that reserved water and the dissolved N-acetylglucosamine and add that into the batch. N-acetylglucosamine is an amino sugar derivative, and I'm using it here because it works beautifully alongside the niacinamide, and it helps support the more advanced facial care side of this formula. Give it a stir first. It is completely dissolved. Okay, our next ingredient is Matrixyl 3000. This is a peptide blend, and it helps reinforce the more performance-driven firming style direction of this cream. Next, I'm going to be adding Saccharomyces ferment. Don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Close enough. A yeast-derived ferment ingredient, and in this formula, it helps round out the more prestige-style active profile and gives the cream another layer of skin-supportive interest. Then we have bisabolol, a soothing agent most commonly associated with chamomile, and it helps bring a calming, skin-friendly element into the formula. Then we have bakuchiol, a plant-derived active that's used in more advanced anti-aging style formulas, so it fits the benchmark-inspired direction of this cream really well. Then we have, of course, our preservative, our liquid Germel Plus, and this is the preservative system for the formula. Followed by the tiniest little teeny bit of fragrance. I am choosing champagne toast as my fragrance today, and this is going to finish off the sensory profile of the cream. Really tiny little amount. Normally, I don't use fragrances at all in facial products, but in this one, I wanted just a hint, a tiny, tiny, tiny little amount. And then we just let this continue cooling down. Keep mixing on low and controlled so that the batch can de-aerate. All right, let's go ahead and turn this off and get this off of the overhead mixer. This is looking really, really nice. Really, really nice. I don't want to waste any little bit of this. All right, let's take a look. We'll give it a little scrape off the sides and make sure that everything got incorporated, which it did. I've already scraped it a couple of times. Give it another little mix. Look at this. Is that not gorgeous? Yes. Yes, it is. Okay, you guys, as I always do, this has cooled down enough that I can go ahead and check the pH now once everything looks good. And then I'm going to come back and recheck the batch after 24 hours to look at the final pH, the viscosity, the appearance, and see if there's any odor coming from that C balance, which there is not going to be. I've already made this once before. Anyways, so once the cream has fully set up, I will bring you guys back and we'll take a look then. It is the next day, and let's take a look at the finished Champagne Facial Lift Cream. The viscosity has changed just as we expected it to do. It's beautiful. Look at the gloss and the shine on that. So the firming cream, the firming facial cream that I modeled this after is purported to be specially formulated to give the skin a smoother, lifted, more supportive look and feel without sacrificing hydration. So at this point, what I'm looking for is a cream that feels smooth, silky, and substantial without crossing over into heavy or greasy. I want that elegant spread, that moisturized, supportive feel, and that more polished finish that makes this feel like a true firming style cream instead of just another basic moisturizer in a nice jar. So I will go ahead and do a demo right now on this. On my arm, I can tell you I have used this product before many times. I used it last night. I had a little bit on my spatula, so I used it last night after I did my face care routine, and it is really lovely. You guys are going to love this formula. But let's go ahead and do a little demo so you can see how nicely this spreads onto the skin without a greasy or sticky or tacky feel. All right, we're just going to get about this much. Oh gosh, it's so nice right away. It's just silky and smooth, elegant feeling. The slip is incredible. I can feel the hydration immediately. Of course, it's different on my forearm than it is on my face, but I can tell you, my face last night felt plump, hydrated, just glistening. It felt healthy. So you can see how nicely, and there's no stick, there's no tack, there's no greasiness. It's just lovely, you guys. Please try this. You're going to love this. What we learned today is that a firming cream is supposed to do more than just moisturize the skin. It should help create a smoother looking finish, a more supportive feel, and a more elegant overall skin payoff. That doesn't come from one trendy ingredient or one flashy claim. It comes from the way that the whole formula is built to begin with. And that is really the difference between a basic face cream and a product that actually feels like it belongs in this category. Structure matters. Slip matters, hydration matters, and the way that all of those things come together on the skin matters. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. This video should be coming out the day after my surgery, and then I also have a soap video for June all ready to go. If you want the full written tutorial and procedure on this particular product, that's available on my Patreon at the Formulator Friend Advanced tier level. Thanks for hanging out with me today at Creation Station. I'll see you in the next formulation. If you're a YouTube channel member, the written formula and instructions are waiting for you in the description box. If you're not a member, you can also get this formula along with more than 100 others and all future releases by joining my Patreon, or you can pick it up individually in my Etsy shop. All the links are below. Choose what's right for you.